Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly, friendly game master. I still haven't come up with a proper name. I need to do that. Spend all this damn time prepping a game instead of thinking of nonsense things that'll take up 1 second of our game time. Today we are carrying on with our ongoing campaign, playing our Talsorian's very cool The Witcher RPG. With me, we're just about to kick off our the next kind of arc of our campaign, which is called the Season of Ravens. I am joined by the stars of our ongoing The Witcher campaign. I'll go the order I've got you guys on the screen here. You are down a doctor today because he has an appointment with his son, but I will go in the order I've got you. We have one new face as well. Why don't you tell us who you are and who you're playing? First up, we've got James.
Right, so I'm Selena, a 13-year-old thief and general ne'er-do-well, and she sort of started hanging out with Worzium, the Witcher, some time ago, and she's nimble, swift, and hard to catch.
Nice. Next up, speaking of Worzium, is Sean.
I'm playing Worzium, a Witcher from the Viper School, and one of the few remaining, I guess, of the Witchers out there. And he can testify that at the very beginning, I think, was it Selena tried to rob him, right? Was that why I was chasing you? Right at the very,
that was the backstory, yeah.
I think that's what you know of it. I believe you were also involved in the mercenary group that nearly murdered his family.
Yeah. Well, we weren't getting into that. There's no need. You didn't hear me bring that up. I'm just going to call it a simple robbery, and then I couldn't catch her.
Selena may not look it to see her at a glance, but she actually comes from some pretty aristocratic stock, and it's really circumstances, which is Worzium, who led her to having her family to fall on hard times and her to live a more desperate existence.
So it should be very interesting when Selena finds this out, given high stealth and very good knife skills.
Yes. Oh, yes. And the hefty amount of Worzium's got a pretty impressive encumbrance score, but the amount of guilt he carries around does weigh him down. Boo to that joke, I know. That was a long walk for that one. And next up is Will.
Hi, I'm Will. I'm playing Sindite. He's an elf mage from Dol Blathanna. He's a bit of a, is it Lothario, I believe, is the best word to use right now?
That would be a tactful way of saying it, yep.
Yeah. So that's what he's doing. He actually knew the doctor and some of the others, and he's kind of out here looking for someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he, I guess, lost someone might be the most tactful way of putting it. And he has been in the north. He is also, I can't remember if he wears it all the time or just he carries around, but his signature item, you may recall, was that mask he was wearing. Yeah. And then last but certainly not least, joining us for the first time is George.
Hey everybody, I'm George. I am playing Caravis, who is also a mage. He's a human. He's from Verdun, which is south of Carrick. He doesn't look like a mage. Kind of looks more like a scoundrel, closer to a rogue, but he has some of those sort of abilities. He is highborn, but trying to hide it as best as he can for reasons that we will try not to divulge. But he's also bearing a lot of guilt for things that happened to specifically his parents, who wound up being executed for a crime they didn't commit. And I go around with a wolf companion named Mardavix.
Mardavix, okay.
Mardavix.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you.
Who is my
a token for the wolf
right.
as well.
Yeah.
Carry on. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's been. He's headed to the north to sort of escape his past in several ways, and he always has a mug of ale or something like it in his hand, and he likes to have a good time. So he kind of fits in with everybody in a different way in the group. Mm-hmm. And Sindef is probably the one that he gravitated to initially because he has some training in magic, but not as much as he really should have had. So he needed some help and needed somebody he could trust, and eventually figured out this was one person he could. And now he's with this group of rogues.
Nice. Excellent. Okay. I'm just getting token together for Mardvik's. Let's see here. I think he's got the stats of a wolf.
Yeah.
You guys may not have seen the character generation last night, but it was pretty pathetic how much I begged him to name it Anna. But in retrospect, I probably don't want an animal in the game because they don't tend to last that long. So
that's true.
Killing my dog even vicariously.
And you might be regularly saying Anna, which could get a reaction from Anna.
That's true too.
Because she listens so well. As we
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Right.
I watched part of the State of the Union again last night, and like a good 5% of that video is me trying to get Anna to stop pushing a ball underneath the place I've got my ring light set up on.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
At one point, you were playing fetch with her temporarily.
Yeah.
There, that was awesome.
Like that happens off screen a lot of the time anyway. She'll come in, and when I finally get out of her mouth, I toss it away. But like she was very insistent last night on participating. And then when we were when I quit that, we had George and I were going to get on, and I had to take like an extra 10-minute break because we had a very, very important case of the zoomies, where she was just tearing ass around like a maniac. Okay, here we go. All right, so there you go. Roundvex. You can see the bars in there, George, and you can move the token around and stuff.
Let's see. Yes, I can move the token. I can see the bars.
Nice,
Okay.
excellent. All right, okay. So then, let's grab everyone's token, and let's head over to something over here. Now, first, we talked about this briefly offline, but we are continuing on in the city of Pont Varus. And let's maybe go to the map for a second here and remind ourselves where we are. So in the northwest, there are two nations, Povis and Kovir, and they are they're not. I mean, they've been really largely untouched by the war in the south, the invasion by Nilfgaard. Two invasions, I guess, at the time of our campaign, and the. In the last couple of years, Povis and Kovir have grown quite rich because of mining, gold mining. I believe there's some other kind of metal, and then there's dimetrium, I think it's called, or dimeterium, whatever, the magical, anti-magic stuff. Those mining activities have financed basically like a complete redevelopment of Pont Vanus, which is right here. This is the summer city. The whole, nobility and much of the aristocracy and the sort of supporting apparatus moves up to Lanexeter in the wintertime. But with this is we're well into spring at this point, and the season in Pont Vanus has commenced. Pont Vanus is also notable for having arguably the finest university, one of the newest as well, in all of the northern kingdoms. And this is where sort of our story will be opening, is with our heroes, some of you occupying yourself with further research. This is not a magical university per se, but, they include studies on a wide variety of topics. And it helps as well that Kovis and Povir have been trying to draw other sorceresses and spellcasters up, or mages at least, up into the region. Our last adventure saw our heroes assist one of those fledgling lodges that was beginning to set things up. A former, shall we say, acquaintance of Sindaith and a unsuccessful acquaintance of Wurzium, who was trying very hard to get to know one of them in the whatever the Witcher equivalent of the biblical sense is. And so it's been several months that you guys have been here. Dr. Gravek has been working as a physician to sort of keep the lights on, as it were. Sindaith, you've been doing, I think, some minor enchantments and such while trying to conduct your research and talk. And I think your research is less, hanging out in the library trying to read books, and more as oddball wizards are making their way through here, you're spending time talking to them about the particulars of their, your problem, I guess, and trying to get ideas. And in the course of doing that is where you came across an old companion. You haven't seen him since your time in Cadwin, and that's Caravis. And I think you recognized maybe Moradvix the first time when someone reacted in one of the crowds. Pontvarus, I should say, is a canal city. It's kind of like a combination of like St. Petersburg and Venice, where it's got that northern kind of ornate building kind of stuff, but not quite as decorative as what Venice is, but canals run through the city, which freeze over in the wintertime. And you see this fairly big wolf, or you saw this big wolf going through, and you recognize that thing from, it's not often you see a big domesticated wolf, making your way through town. And you shortly heard him being called by someone, and while you haven't seen him in a while, you came across Caravis, and that led to a little bit of socializing. You did some, you probably talked shop, as it were, but I don't know if Caravis is incredible. I think unless you change it, your education's not huge as far as the score. Yeah, 2. So. Caravis came to his studies a little later in life, and as such, the focus was really on like teaching him the magical stuff, and a lot of the collateral training that you get as a mage was not something that he received. Selena, we've talked before we went on, sort of how you're keeping yourself occupied. But Sean, what do you think? What is Wurzium doing in these long hours?
He's he's not very good at womanizing. He's probably like you might think of him like as the lead singer in a band that, without being the lead singer, would have 0 success, but then they find out he's lead singer and they're into that kind of thing, and so that guy can have some success there. Well, that's so they have to be into witchers or something. They have to go, oh, so you're a witcher, and next thing you know, he's like, boom, there we go. Otherwise he's terrible at it, because he's sort of he's not emotional, and he's like he's too practical. He's 0 poetry, etc. So he's going to be doing a little of that, seeing if he's throwing out the hook out there a little bit. Definitely getting his sword. I mean, just at least narratively, looking for a person to repair a sword. That is a priority, and so he'll be keeping his eye open for that. He's going to be looking to do a little shopping.
Yep.
And lastly, an alchemist for the mutagen that he is burning a hole in his pocket.
Yeah, that's right. Right, because what's her name kind of blew it, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Yeah, that was amateur hour. He was disappointed there.
So then, let's see here. What? I guess before we dive into the actual story, everyone other than George got some more improvement points. So how did you guys spend your improvement points, your XP, from last time?
Let's see. I stuck to my theme of professional skills, and I made my way through. Magical source, professional skill, bought it up to 5, and that is for increasing his vigor.
Oh, nice for magic.
So vigor is a big theme because that's the mutagen too. So hopefully the mutagen and then the magical source all increases vigor, which is big for his Witcher signs.
Great.
The intensity of which he can cast them, and then got a little bit into the next one, heliotrope, which is a nice one where he can try to counter magic thrown at him.
Nice.
So yeah, that's kind of a sweet one.
Ooh,
it's not going to come up all the time, but when it does, it could be handy.
Yeah, it's a high stamina cost for that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So for those who aren't familiar with the game, one of the neat things with the way you customize your character is every one of the professions has a specific professional skill, and then as you develop, you can actually take different paths and learn different skills and abilities. So, every mage could be different, every witcher could be different, every mercenary could be different, or man-at-arms, I think it's called. What about Sindaith or Selena? What did you guys spend your points on?
Selena bumped up her deceit and then took her practice paranoia up to 5.
Nice.
So.
Excellent. And about Sindaith?
I have not spent any of them.
Okay. How many points do you have?
I think I've got 18.
Holy smokes.
Oh,
so
18.
you could have learned new spells during that period as well, too, because
The one thing I was looking at, I can't remember what the rules are for because you've got like the novice and then the journeyman.
Yep.
And I cannot remember what guides that. What
I think it
predicates.
is your what do you call it? Your vigor that'll dictate whether you can safely cast those things.
Yeah, the magical training.
Yeah.
Magic training.
Yeah, because you're like the journeyman spells look like they've got between like 10 and 15 or 8. Illusion is 8, but they cost, at least the ones in the core book, are up to 15. And I think that's way over because your vigor is probably a 5 or so. So even with this,
where in the hell is it?
that's under magic. We found
there
that.
It is.
Yeah.
So yeah, my vigor right now is a 6.
A 6, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So like a 6, you think you can't cast spells. Where is it here? Well, you can cast spells over your vigor. Where is it here? Where is it here? The dangers of magic. I'm trying to remember if it's in a sidebar or if it's in a thing here. Let's see, where's it's in combat. Let's see. That's where they put some. Here we go. Magic. Vigor and stamina. Every magical character has a vigor threshold, which shows how much magic you can channel through your body in one round before you start to damage yourself. You can cast as many spells as your actions allow, so long as the total stamina cost is below or equal to your vigor threshold. Your power also depends on your stamina-derived statistic. When you cast magic... Let's see here. So your vigor threshold is something you cannot cast over. So that would be one of the things that would keep you. You need to get your threshold up to high enough to be able to cast that. While casting magic, you can overexert yourself to cast bigger spells, invocations, or signs. You can attempt to cast a form of magic that has a larger stamina cost than your vigor threshold by sacrificing health points. Every 1 point of stamina cost beyond your vigor threshold, you spend 5 hit points. When overexerting yourself to cast a spell, you also roll on the elemental fumble effects table. So, there's some fun in for the DM as well. So that's good.
Say things you don't want to do in Kevin's game.
Yeah,
roll on fumble tables.
I know, those tables are pretty fun. Let's see. George says, because I see fire is one of the things. Your body bursts into flames. You take 1 point of fire damage for every point you fumbled by and are also set on fire.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so that's how that would be the restriction, is that if you try and exceed it, you could be in trouble.
Yeah, you could be. Big time.
Yeah. And I think. Okay, so what? we need to do then is to figure out your alchemist that you're going to find. So, let's see. I think I've got an alchemist NPC here. Artisan, here we go. All right. Ooh. Now, the mutagen that you're trying to craft, did we say what the difficulty class was?
You talking to me or Sean?
Sean, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you might be muted too, Sean.
I am indeed. We probably did, and
all right, so let's see here. Do you remember the effect of the mutagen?
yes, +3 to vigor.
Okay, so let me find that. I think it might be
+3 to vigor and always cold to the touch.
right. I think that's either from Tome of Chaos or more likely Witcher's
I think it's
Journal.
Tome because I couldn't find it.
Oh, okay, it might be. Well, it's either that or Witcher's. Like, definitely not in the core rulebook, but
Yes,
the
okay.
Witcher's Journal
Right.
and the Tome both include new things.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so yeah, mutagens. Here we go. All right.
Mutagen.
Yes, so it's 20. Alchemy DC is a 20. So, the cost for you for this clown, let's see about hiring people. Hirelings. It's taken us exactly like 5 sessions till we get into hireling stuff. Can you tell you're playing one of our games?
Oh, yeah.
Did I mention there's also some wilderness survival rules we're using today?
Oh, no.
All right, here we go. Okay, armor enchantments. I do love the amount you can customize your gear in this game. It's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I need to take another look.
Yeah, there's lots of neat little additions that you can get. Even mundane stuff to like augment your armor and such.
I mean, The Witcher basically doesn't have fun, so he doesn't. I don't spend a lot of time on that.
No sense looking over shit you can't afford, I guess. So
Spare a coin to your Witcher, for Pete's sake. Come on.
all right, let's see here. It's got crafting.
So I'd be looking for an alchemist to make that roll for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, yeah. So why don't you do this here?
Since the sorceress wasn't any help.
The sorceress was not, and she was a specialist in it as well.
And she was a specialist.
Well, you're choosing not to do it yourself. I mean, Witcher's...
Well, I'm pretty mundane on that, I think.
And Dr. Graybeck has had, unfortunately, been busy practicing his physician's arts.
Yes.
Why don't you give us a... Let's see here. I think it's going to be streetwise to find like a...
Okay.
Yeah, so be intelligence streetwise to find like a, off the books kind of alchemist. Or you could try... I think like charisma, maybe to try and find someone reputable.
Charisma. Is that a...
Charisma's under empathy, but I think your empathy is not great.
Yeah, I'm terrible at all these, but yeah, empathy is particularly horrible.
Love it. Love it.
I mean, basically, you're stuck with a... if you're not an empathy 1, you went crazy. You have to really go crazy not to be a empathy 1 with The Witcher, I remember.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try streetwise because my intelligence is, not horrible.
Okay. Let's see here. Is it a...
Yeah, it's...
Not a success. I will remind you, you can spend luck before you make your roll to augment the chances. So thus far, you found people, but given the value of this thing, you probably don't want to entrust it to them.
Right.
There probably are some skilled alchemists around, but just you have not found them as of yet.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
apart
On
from
the
that,
sword
what,
repair? Sword repair? Should we just leave that to the game, or sword repairing my?
Yeah, no, you can get that. I'm just trying to think what the cost is here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you gotta pay for shit. This is the dark of the dark fantasies. You constantly.
To your Witcher.
I'm rich. I'm poor. God dang. Here we go. Services. Gotta love a game that gives you the rate for both laundry and prostitute per hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
But sometimes
Those two things actually go together, surprisingly.
Yeah. Oh, guys, there's a cost for a lawyer too.
Yeah.
No.
That's where you institute. Someone puts the. You already told us what a prostitute costs joke in.
Right.
Okay, so let's see. There isn't, or at least I can't see a clear thing of how much, like you have to pay a craftsperson to do it.
I can.
Like hirelings, 15 crowns. But what I'll maybe do is look at what the cost of repairs is.
Yeah.
Well, you haven't lost all. Oof, that's expensive.
I see a reference on page 97 in the sidebar of a flat rate of repair.
Okay, let's see here.
but it doesn't give an amount, so it's not really. Don't get your hopes up. But I'm just saying.
Oh, here we go. Chronicler Craftsman. Craftsmen are treated as having a crafting and alchemy skill of 15, depending on what they specialize in. Where are the services? What's the cost of that, though?
Right.
Costs were on page 93. Let's see. Food and drink containers. Craftsman, here we go. Per piece, 35. So 35 crowns. So I think here, like, rather than, I don't think it's difficult to find it then. You must pay for the cost of the item. Oh, for a craftsman to craft from a diagram for you, you must pay the cost of the item rather than the flat rate of repair. Oh, I see. And then they don't give you the flat rate of repair.
And they don't
right?
give you the amount, yeah.
Mm-hmm. A bit of who's on first here, eh?
Right. I wish I would have. I wish I would have researched this in between sessions. I should have.
Well, it might be in one of the. I'm in the crafting section, and I wonder if there's something in here. So let's see. Oh, here we go. So, I think we'll say for what is it you're trying to repair here?
Sword. Took 5 damage in battling the toad.
Which sword?
That's a great question.
So I think if it's your Witcher one, then the crafting description is actually separate. It's in the Witcher section. I recall.
Hang on a second. Let me see.
Sword diagrams.
Did I record what sword it was to?
Because I think you had your steel sword out, and then you had your other one.
Yes. I don't think I recorded which one.
Okay, so I'm going to assume it's your strong, like it'll be your favorite hand, which probably had the Witcher sword in it.
Okie doke.
So let's say it'll be, because of the materials that are involved in it, as a contrast, the investment, so like getting the crafting material for the Witcher steel sword is 507, as opposed to like an arming sword that has 201, or like a spear that's got 276, so it's quite expensive. I think what we'll say is 100 crowns for repairs, and then we'll look up afterwards and see if I got that wrong. We'll, you'll know not to go back to that crafts person. Right. But because they can find, you've got lots of time, I'll let you give us a 1d10 roll plus 15, and that will be to create your mutagen. I think it'll be, if you're saying that you can find a crafts person, it shouldn't be that hard to track one down to be able to make that roll. So it'll be 1d10, and then you're going to add 15 to the result, and you need a 20 to successfully craft your mutagen. That'll cost you 100 as well, I think.
Doesn't explode, right?
It does explode, yeah. In both directions. Oh my god!
So close.
Okay, so now you need one more to avoid wasting the component.
Here we go.
Okay, so yeah, this is some tricky shit.
That's what I did with the last one. Last session, I did this exact pattern.
So 2 times, it turns out that the Beast of Lake Tancred, this is some tricky shit to really get right. Maybe, if once Dr. Gravek gets some more experience under his belt, you could trust him with it. But this alchemist did not seem to be properly skilled in this.
Maybe I snatched it back from him before he ruined it entirely. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I've got a little alchemy. I know that that's nonsense, whatever he used.
All right. So the... is there anything else that we need to do in our, interim time, the time in between?
Kevin, do you want me to follow the rules for actually trying to learn a spell where I think I have to roll my spell casting?
Yeah, and we'll treat it like we do in D&D, where if you don't learn it from from that roll, it doesn't mean that you're not going to lose your IP. It just means you can't learn it from that source. You have to go elsewhere to try and learn it.
Yeah, I think I have to have 2 checks to learn a novice spell.
Oh, yeah.
And it's based on my casting skills, so...
Yep.
Let me.
So go right. It's only a 14, so hopefully that'll be.
Yeah, it's a low DC, so hopefully I can do this.
Go ahead.
You never know in this game. Well, basic roll. Did that come up?
It may have prompted you for a modifier.
Okay, let me double check. Yeah, I don't need any modifiers.
Nice.
There's 1.
Yeah.
And.
Come on.
No modifiers.
No, there you go. Yes. So what spell have you learned?
Magic healing.
Nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
Not a bad plan. Mm-hmm. I think. Anyone's who was suffering from treated critical wounds, you can take those away now because you've sufficient time has passed for those to be able to heal. I think it might be Werzium might be the only one who suffered a critical hit last time. Didn't you get chomped on?
I seems reasonable. Where would I have? I'm just looking for where that's recorded.
Where I would have written it.
Yeah, I think it's under. Is it under combat? Where is it?
Background.
Maybe background.
Okay, back to.
Let's see here. Life events. Nope, not that. Those are modifiers. Here in inventory.
I would have probably, if it was me, I would have written it there on the skills page because it says skills, stats, and modifier notes. That's where I would have put it.
Yes. Remember we had the thing that where you could. That's how we learned that you could do where you add your modifiers.
That's up top, right? Yeah. At the stat. Yep.
Yeah, and I don't see none of your stats look to be modified to my eyes.
Let's see. Well, it was down by we did I already healed that. That was let's see, what was that? I was down in body? It was something like that.
Yeah,
I think it was body.
Right. So maybe we took care of it at the end of last session.
I think we took care of it.
Yeah.
I think we did.
Okay. Yeah, maybe you guys
I was
rested
down
up.
in encumbrance too.
Oh, okay. So So Sindaitha's got the spells. If there's nothing else, then I think what we'll do is our scene will open with a... So this is the sort of the overall picture of the nicer parts of Pontvarus. But here's where our scene will open. There is a merchant and his retinue who are making their way through here. The way that he is yelling at his lackeys to suggest to you that they got lost or he got lost. He's dressed quite well, and then from seeming nowhere, we see a small figure kind of stumble out of the alleyway, bump into the merchant, and then immediately beg her forgiveness. And Selena, would you kindly give us let's see here, sleight of hand check, please.
Okay, any modifiers or anything?
No modifiers for this one, no. You can spend luck beforehand if you like, though.
Nah, I won't bother.
Okay.
33.
Oh, 33, yes. I was looking at it, I'm like, did it only... Apparently, guys are only getting 33s today, so there you go. So, the man looks down, and he seems like he's about to scream at, this person, and he sees these big blue eyes, kind of flutter, and then he smiles and says, "That's fine, my child. Go, where is it we are headed? Are you certain this is the correct street?" She immediately goes away, and what we don't see is her tossing up and catching the coin purse. We were up pretty late making George's character last night.
That's right.
The coin purse in his hand, and Selena, you can go ahead and add 25 crowns to your character sheet. So let's say it's 50 crowns. I think this guy was fairly well off. So this is, while Werzium is, either whoring his way through the cities, and Sendai seems to be doing his own thing, you've been sort of left to your own devices. And, you did what you'd naturally do when you're in a city, which is to start pilfering. And as you're heading your way back, you hear a voice that is a young man's voice coming from the shadows ahead of you. You're making your way back towards the tavern where you or the inn that you guys are all staying at, and the voice says, "That's some fine work."
I'm sorry, sir. Who's that?
A young man steps out, and he looks to be about maybe 3 or 4 years older than you, but he has the same look of kind of, he's got that look of old before his time that kids who have, those kind of rough starts on life can have. And he's got a bit of a lean, feral kind of look to him as well. But there's a glint in his eye that seems that he seems to be enjoying the fact that you did not see him coming. There's no way from the way he is dressed, in comparison to the merchant that you saw on the street before, this fellow is markedly different. This guy is much closer to your sort of gutter rat level than his own. With that merchant, that was some fine work. Neither he nor his men saw. Easy pickings round here, right?
It's a town I like.
Oh, I'll bet you do. I'll bet you do. Not from here, are you?
Nope. Nope. You in town?
That explains... Not a local. That explains your lack of understanding of the way things are done here. Because you see, the way things are done here is if you're poaching in someone's backwoods, you got to pay the gamesman.
Well, the gamesman's too slow.
Well,
What can I do?
what you can do, and you realize now that you are not alone with this individual. There are 2 other younger kids who are also in this alleyway. What you can do is, since you didn't pay the toll, you got to pay the toll, and you got to pay your fine.
I
So-
don't think so.
You look back and forth at these kids. It looks like they have done a pretty decent job of trying to seal you off, but it looks like you could still, from what you're judging, you think you still might be able to run past them. Each of them has a pretty nasty looking knife at their waist. The guy who's talking, he doesn't have his hand on his, but the 2 ones that are sort of behind you, if you spare a look back, both of them have their hands on it, like ready to draw. That tells you either he is not intending on doing it, or he's certainly he's a good enough, wielder of that knife to not worry about getting it out in time to make use of it.
Nope. Then I am going to skedaddle.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's have. Let's see here. Do I have? Yeah, these will do. It's not quite right, but come on. Come on. Come on, game. There we go. There's the kids, and then let's see here. I did a search for rogue, and I got Rhodian. A little bit of cross-pollination.
Yep.
Okay. I'll just use the same for all of them. Okay, so I'll put the red as the leader dude who's ahead of you. Let's roll some. Tell me how you're intending on getting away here.
I'll look for the one with the biggest gap
Yep.
and just sprint and dive past him.
Okay. So let's make it a contested athletics check then, and I'll roll first here so you know what you're rolling against. Plus, we go. So target number is only a 12. Actually, I need to roll another d10 to subtract from that. So it's actually only a 6 is what you need.
Right.
Nice.
Well, let's give that one a go then.
Okay. And again, you can spend luck beforehand if you like. And luck refreshes at the start of each session.
So it's a reposition or basic roll?
Basic roll. Oh, basic roll, I think. I don't know what the other one is. So what does it look like as Selena races past this guy?
He sticks out his arms trying to grab me, and I just roll right underneath him and off sprinting while he's just still clutching in the air.
Okay. I'm going to roll 2 attacks on you from the others from behind. So let's see here. Only if they... you can choose to defend. Remember, your first defense is free against range attacks. I believe.
I'll just do complete dodging. I'm not going to try.
That's who you're taking as your action.
Anything. Yep.
Okay, actively dodge. Yeah, plus, so -2 penalty to anyone trying to... actively dodge is only -2 in melee range.
All right, so
Yeah, it
they're throwing
doesn't
us on.
affect range. But I think you still can defend against ranged. Here we go. Yes. And defenses right here against ranged are. It's the first time we've had anyone actually defending against a ranged stuff. Dr. Gravek was firing at the other guy, but that monster, but I don't think it was defending itself against him. So you don't have a shield, so you can't block. You can't parry. So you have reposition, which is a athletics roll versus the attack roll to avoid the attack, and
Or
then
just,
or
it's
dodge.
just the plain dodge, right?
Yeah, or
so
dodge.
Just be the plain dodge.
Okay, so my first attack is a 15.
Okay.
Nice. Okay, and then your second one will cost you 1 stamina, and that is not a good roll. Oh, a 2. This should be easily. All right, so you can hear those knives kind of sticking to the wall of the place near you, and then you go racing off into the thing. You can hear the lead tough say, "We'll find you. That tax going to be paid."
I just stop at the end of the alley and go
Okay.
and off.
If you do stop, they do get another attack on you, though.
No, but I'll just do it. I'm waving.
Okay. You can hear this like tittering laughter that just carries through the alleyway as you're racing off. So you're heading off in the direction of where everyone else is. We cut to the interior of a tavern, and this is a dark and dingy kind of place. Clearly not the it's more likely to be a place that not necessarily the sailors who are frequenting the port frequent, but the travelers with money. So it's not like a nicer upper class kind of place, but it's a place that those coming and going, it's an easy place to go. I think Sindaith, we can see that you are at a table sitting talking to probably an older gentleman who he has a staff sitting against the wall near where yours is, and you both seem deeply enmeshed in a conversation about Lord knows, probably some kind of magical thing. Werzium, you come down from upstairs. You have been keeping company with a local. It's good of you to support the local business. And you can see Sindaith is at his work. There's no sign of this Caravis fellow who you dealt with. And didn't you have a ward before, too? Where on earth did she go?
Did I have a what?
A ward. Selena.
Oh, right. Gotcha. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was, yes. Okay. And I've been a little bit, it hasn't been a very good day. My sword's damaged. This cursed mutagen. I've got no warm company. No one seems to be into witchers here. It just sucks. So I'm a little bit down on my I'm down on my cups. And I curse that. Oh, she's gotten into trouble. I'm gonna have to fish her out of something. I'm just That's.
Is there? Do you think there has been? And James, feel free to share your insight in this as well. But has Werzium figured out that Selena, how she occupies her time? There may be a stash of coins or other things that have been recovered. You may find
Lodged. Well, I was able to lend him a whole pile of cash even. but on the other hand, I am particularly deceitful. Maybe you haven't quite figured it out. You haven't figured out the extent of it.
When we met, you robbed me, so it can't be completely it can't be a complete secret that.
But I persuaded you. It was a one-off.
Oh, of course, of course.
So
Werzium's pretty cynical, so maybe.
So you come down. There's no sign. Is there any what do you think is the standard expectation for Werzium? If she's not here, it's nightfall. It's dark outside. You think, at least.
If he was in a good mood, as good moods go with Werzium, he would go out good-naturedly. But he wants to drink. He's irritated.
Okay.
He didn't get he got nothing taken care of. There's just this place is too expensive. It's outrageous. He feels like butchering a merchant, but he knows that'll cause too much issue. So he's just drinking and looking around at the scraps to see if maybe even a cocktail a cocktail waitress might look his way.
Okay, so you make your way over to the. Do you think you order at the bar, or do you think you take a seat and just wait for someone to try and service you?
Yeah, he might have a. I think in a better mood he'd be at the bar, but he's sullen at a table in the corner.
Okay, so you go and find the I guess maybe least conspicuous table and sit yourself down, and the waitress comes over, and I think she has been the subject of your attentions before. Why don't you give us a was it a not human perception? Give us a charisma roll. Let's see where things stand with this lady.
So he's so awful at everything. Empathy, it's great. Yeah, there you go.
4.
There you go.
All right. Her name is Nina, and Nina walks
and I'm
over.
grumbly, so there's plenty of room here. I'm like, oh, there is someone that works here. I'm probably just full on,
Yeah. Yes, but we take our business in coin. Have you got any of that?
I give her a long stare, and I do have some coin. It's just not enough to do anything worthwhile other than drink. So I provide her with what does she want? How much does she want?
So let's see here. I'm guessing you are not a very good. That roll tells us you're not a terrific tipper.
Oh, heavens no! That's tipping. Tipping is leaving you without a whack to the side of the head. That's
gratuity is derived from gratitude, and you have none of that from me, madam. Let's see. The food and drink. A beer is 5 crowns. So you can get rot gut for like 2, or you can get nice beer for probably 8 or 10.
Depressing. I'll go rot gut.
Oh, what a surprise, my lord. I'll be sure to have it for you. And she heads over to the, to collect your drink. And the... You don't realize that, like, what your focus was solely on Nina, as is, whether you had a past dalliance with Nina, or it's something you continually are batting up against. Both of those would be explained by that terrible charisma roll. You hear someone walk over and says what would they say to things? I'm gonna kill you. No, that's not what they say.
I might raise my spirits.
You can hear someone with a northern accent. There is only really, like, Nordling is the language that everyone speaks in the northern kingdoms, who isn't an elf or a dwarf or one of the elder races. But he says there are accents, though, regional accents in the different places, and this person has a Kovir accent. And says, well, brother, on hard times are we? And you look up, and there is a guy who has long, reddish hair pulled back into a kind of a tight ponytail, braids along the sides. But you can see that his eyes are a vibrant green. There's no way any of it can be found in nature. And you also can't help but notice that over his shoulder are 2 swords.
Witchers they're distinct enough. Is there any chance that I wouldn't recognize a Witcher, you think? I mean, is that...
There's no chance of this. Those 2 things, the mutation and the 2 swords, there's no way that this person is not a Witcher of some kind.
Okay.
Yeah, bear with me a moment. I wrote it down, but I forget now, and cannot read my handwriting.
And I think we all have cat's eyes, perhaps. I want to say I came across that somewhere.
Say again, sorry?
I think we might even all have cat's eyes. I want to say some because of the vision.
No, it's because it depends on the individual mutation. And then as you take mutagens, that also changes things. So,
Gotcha.
like the reason that Geralt's called the White Wolf is because of his distinctive white hair, and he's got that really strange looking eyes. But all the Witchers can, they all sort of stand out. But the other thing is the Witcher medallion is one of the things, and the two swords. Everyone sort of knows to look for that stuff for it. Right. And the medallion around this fellow's waist neck is here we go. Right, the Griffin School, which is a local. It's actually one of their what do you call it? Their school is located in the Dragon Mountains.
Interesting.
So you look up and you don't recognize this guy whatsoever. He does have a bemused look on his face with what seems to be your hard times.
When's the last time I probably saw Witcher? So how rare is this?
Yeah, it's unusual. Like there's not when the Witchers were more aggressively supported by the general populace, they would have more of them. People would more willingly send their kids off to go through the mutation and training and whatever else. But that has fallen off, which means there's less people entering the profession, as it were. And in addition, it's a dangerous fucking job. So both because of the things you deal with as the monsters, but also because people generally are less appreciative of them. This is a rarity. You probably have not run into another since you've arrived in Kovir and Povis. You probably haven't run into another Witcher. So this is a surprise. I figured that there is a bit of a comrades in arms thing when you run across. That seems to be the way it's presented in the in the books. You think of any other profession, well, like you gossip amongst each other, so you sort of are aware of who people are, and you can give us actually. There is this gives us a chance to make use of the reputation rules. Give us a 1d10 roll, please.
Okay.
1. That's actually pretty good. You know who precisely this is.
Oh, really?
Yeah. His name goes by Bogomil the Butcher. You guys rarely get friendly nicknames. So that is Bogomil the Butcher.
Well, I think he goes through multiple phases. So first of all, Urzium looks up, ready to deliver this guy some serious grumbly, why on earth are you bothering me? Like some kind of intimidation thing. And then, of course, stops short, like, what? Like, like thrown off by the fact that it's a Witcher at all. And then realizes he knows him. And like, so I think Urzium is unusually...
So I think you know of this guy. You have not met him yet. You know him by reputation alone.
Gotcha. I think Urzium is. I think probably doesn't say anything. He's a little bit. He's so taken by surprise that he just stares at him with not with an unpleasant look, but a surprised look.
Yeah.
And is caught speechless.
Yeah. So he kind of grins and he says, well, forgive me, brother, I don't wish to impose, but and he looks over, if you're not intent on your own favorite drink, and you can see Nina spitting into your drink as she's collecting it from the barkeep, I've got coin to spend, and I'd appreciate a welcome ear from a brother.
He spares just a moment of a quick stare at the barmaid, thinking, I can't kill her, I can't really, going through his like little, and then looks back at him and waves him to the table in a moment of unusual almost emotion of have a seat, rescue me from this dreary existence.
So she basically, what do you say to him, I guess, first off?
I wave him to the seat and I say, please, have a seat, brother.
Oh, thank you. I didn't catch your name, brother. I'm Bogomil.
Bogomil. Yes, I think your name has reached my ears. Your reputation precedes you.
Well, that's one we wishes to keep employed, and got to keep your name on the lips of those that pay. Speaking of which, Lassie, you could take that one away. Bring us a bottle of the Redanian Red, and when you see it get empty, lass, and he drops a crown onto her, like a one of the, I guess, like 10 unit coins. If you see that bottle get empty, be sure to keep it filled. Well, yeah. And the change in her demeanor with him is marked. Of course, sir. Of course, my lord, she says. And she heads off, and he sits down, takes the swords off. He looks around. Nice place you picked here. This your doing, or circumstances dictated it?
I would say circumstances.
I know. I've been there before, too. It's why we must, when we have coin, must take time to celebrate and enjoy it, no?
Absolutely. I appreciate your generosity, brother.
I'm having only met you, Worsium, I'm confident you'd be doing the same, too. Did we lose George altogether, or is he just gone from...
Let me check.
No, he's muted in the hang... So,
He seems to have gone.
No, here he comes.
I'll put that in just... Oh, okay.
I would say I heard everything. I didn't have any issues.
So he... did you hear when we said that he stabbed Caravis? Or...
I was paying careful attention. I definitely did not hear that.
Okay.
Now I'm going to now I've lost everybody. So when you guys refresh, so I'm going to reconnect.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Hopefully that doesn't screw things up.
So he says, what brings you up here? Take from your... he gestures at your Viper amulet. You're pretty far north from... You made... keeping your distance from the Nilfgaardians, or what?
Aye, things aren't good down there. Unfortunately, there's not much forest down there. I wouldn't recommend it. But here it's happenstance. I'm trying to get some things done unsuccessfully. And I glance at my sword, and these people, well, there's no coin for witchers here, I found, but you may have more luck than I have.
Oh, you need these. If you're new to Kovir and Povis, it's really a matter of knowing who you need to speak to then. There's plenty of coin to go around and plenty of problems with the wildlife, shall we say. The mining is certainly... has brought coin to those south of the Dragon Mountains, but those to the north, it's certainly upset them and the wild things that live up there. They've been sending them down, and when bad things come down, richers get rich, eh?
That's good to hear. Have you just come from a job?
I have, yes. Lord had a trouble with some knockers in his mine. So I set them right.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
And you?
Yes, I did recently dispatch a. So I know it's called Beast of the Lake Tancred, but what was the?
I don't know. Was it beast? You could call it, or a demon, or.
Yeah, I did. I took care of a large toad-like creature that lived under the ice. I'm not exactly sure what it was. Whether it was a beast or a demon I'm not sure, but it's no longer living, so that's what's important.
Oh, that's good. And you got paid for it, no?
I did. Not enough. Never enough. And I smile.
When is it? And you can see that the Nina has delivered the wine and poured the two glasses. You both, clink your glasses. It's just then to better times. Let's talk of old stories. And new friends.
I'd enjoy that. It's good to come across. A fellow sword welder, and
I
enjoy his company.
You realize that those eyes of his, like in the dark of the kind of the gloom at least of the the table you're sitting at too, those green eyes almost glow. They almost have a luminescence to them. When he cheers and gives you a smile, and could be that his canines are a little bit longer than they should be. But maybe your eyes are just playing tricks on you, or maybe it's that the heady rush of that first sip of Redanian Red. Those it's said that those that first sip of those wines kicks like a troll. At this point, I think we see the door open up into here, and you can see Selena come in, and her cheeks are flushed. She may have been running, or maybe it was I guess it's not cold outside right now. But Selena, you come in, and you can see that Wurzium is sitting with some other fellow and sharing a wine, and you can see the two, having traveled with a Witcher long enough, you know how to spot one. It looks like he's drinking with one of his fellow Witchers. And Sean, do you think that she has seen him do that before, or has he avoided the contact with other Witchers before?
I mean, I don't think I avoid it. I mean, if it's, yeah, I mean, I think I would seek out my kind.
Okay.
I mean, he's got a natural, a little bit, I mean, the generosity of Bogomil, there'd probably be a little voice in his head saying, watch it now, like no one gives away, stuff like this. But he's also he's probably his guard's a little bit down because it's so unusual, and I think he was welcome. It was a welcome distraction from his self-introspection, sullenness.
Okay. So Selena, you see Wurzium, and he's with one of his fellow Witchers. Does Selena insert herself into the conversation when she sees him with it, or she leave him to do his Witcher stuff?
Oh, I'm in a sassy mood now.
Okay.
So I'll swagger over and pull up a stool and sit down and say, "Oh, old man, managed to bribe somebody to sit here and talk to you, huh?"
You see,
I never knew you had the coin.
I'll ignore the quip entirely because I'm in a rare good mood. It was a weird switch, and I say, Bogomil, Selena.
Well, hello there, lassie.
Delighted
Delighted for you too. Shall we get you some?
So does everyone get some ale? Excellent.
She looks at you. I can see why you keep this one around. We'll get. I honestly have no idea what the equivalent would be. Maybe it's watered down wine. I guess it tells it. Waves at Nina. Bring us some water. We need to water this down just a touch for her. But she'll be. You could try some of this, my young lady. But be warned, it hits quite hard.
And Wurzium says, "You can explain why I keep her around later to me, Bogomil."
We cut to maybe Sindaith. You have finished off your talk with this person, and unfortunately, while there were some interesting things that he had to say, there's nothing specifically helpful with respect to your the matter that you're trying to deal with. The challenge that you've been facing with this is that the piercing of the veil is usually not traveling across the world is something that mages, it's well known. There are spells you can learn to be able to do that kind of stuff. What is less open is the dealing with the creatures that can pass between worlds. Those are generally demons, and those are generally subject to the forbidden art of Goetia. And nobody wants to be talking about that, and certainly no one wants to get caught talking about that. And depending on the nation you find yourself in, as an elven mage, you certainly don't want to give the impression that you're asking about that stuff. But I think what you draw from this conversation is that there is this old guy who seems to be, a expert in translocation. He seemingly has traveled all over the world. He even said to have gone far to the east. he's not aware of any magics, rituals or otherwise, that would enable one to pierce the world absent those forbidden arts, which he claims to have no knowledge of. So all the research that you've been doing thus far, it all seems to point towards a unfortunate and frankly illegal, source. So how's Sindaith taking that information? How's he dealing with that knowledge?
I mean, he's troubled by what it implies to a certain extent. He's also getting frustrated with the difficulty of finding some sort of lead, or however you want to call it.
One thing that you have found is that while humans dominate, the continent now, and they, have usurped the elves as being masters of the, mystic arts, as it were, there still are things that either the elves were wise enough to never share with mankind, or they were, they just were eliminated or cast down before they had the opportunity to do that. Or perhaps just that humankind can't master some of the things. There is legends of elven magics that are more powerful than that, that do things that no human mage can figure out how they may have replicated it. And whether that was by trucking with ancient spirits and so forth, or whether it was just something that, before the conjunction of the spheres, a different way of being able to work magic. But, that is those secrets are lost to you as an elf as much as they are to any of the, would-be historians or archaeologists looking into that. But maybe that's it as well. There is some hope to be found in the history of the elves.
Yeah, maybe I need to start focusing my research there.
Why does Sindaith still hold out hope for this lost person? Does he dream about them?
Well,
Does he it's just a keen recollection of them? He cared about them that much that he doesn't want to give up? Is it because he blames himself and just doesn't wants to fix that mistake obsessively is
yes.
Yeah.
No, he I mean, it's almost, let me see if I can try and explain this easily. It's the closest that he's ever been with somebody.
Yeah.
And he started off as kind of, like I said, kind of flamboyant, playboy, and then he found that one person. And she was, of course, human, and he was elf. And he was in love with her, but then she got absconded, basically.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what happened. This is really the one person he's felt closest to. Okay. Maybe not necessarily loved, but definitely way more than any other person.
Okay.
That's why he's so caught up with this girl. Okay.
So, while you can see that, Werzium seems to have found a fellow Witcher, and the first time you've been in Kovir and Povist, or in Kovir, and seen him, with one of his kind, he seems to be in a pretty good mood, at least from the laughs that are coming from his table. And tell me if I'm reading this wrong, but it sounds like Sindaith might be in the mood where that would only further foul his mood if he was to join them?
Probably.
Okay. So I think it's
watching Werzium's clumsy advances depresses him to no end.
It's maybe at that point that we see Caravis come in, and I think that we're well past the point where they try and we don't allow their kind in here with your wolf. Either because of how well behaved the wolf is, or at least the good control you have over it. Or just that you're a mage, and they realize, or maybe you're just likable or talk your way into it.
Yeah.
So we see Caravis enter the tavern as well, too. And why don't you tell us what that looks like?
I think rather than leading Meredith is sort of leading me. Like, she walks ahead of me, and we have some kind of, connection. So she knows where I want her to go.
Okay.
So, but she presents herself first and checks the place out. And then a moment later, I step in knowing that it's, not in imminent danger.
Okay.
And I think I kind of look a little bit like Joseph Fiennes in Shakespeare in Love. I'm kind of like, a little bit ragged and kind of look like you wouldn't immediately tag me as being any kind of mage. And I've got like 2 empty cups that I'm carrying that clearly I must have like gone outside and like been walking around with 2 mugs of ale. These are empty. And I'm not staggering, but like I've, head over to the bar. I definitely have had a few.
Okay.
And I think this is when I start to become active. I'm a nocturnal creature.
Okay.
So I think I was like sleeping up until this point.
Okay. So, Sindaith, you do see Caravis enter from the other side, and this is someone, I think you guys have become reacquainted over the last little while after having spent some wild times in your youth in the streets of the cities of Cadwin. Mm-hmm. And Caravis, you see that Sindaith is sitting by himself and seeming deep in thought.
I'm going to just head straight over. I'm going to take my now full mugs of ale that I got from some kind of bar. I'm assuming that may be there. Yep. And I will head over and I'll like turn the seat around so that I'm sitting, kind of my legs around the edges. And I'll say, and I look to see if Sindaith has anything that he's drinking. Are you drinking anything, Will?
No, I don't think so. I think I just kind of got here, and I was probably heading up towards the bar after seeing the Witcher.
Okay, I say a goblet of your finest wine for my good friend here, and I hold up some coins.
Okay. So,
how are you doing this day?
Caravis?
Yes. What? You're not still holding that grudge. Look, it wasn't my fault. It was pure accident. I swear, I'll make it up to you. I trust me. But I think we shouldn't talk about it here in case anybody's listening, if you know what I mean.
Of course. What brings you this far north?
So you guys can assume that this isn't the first time, like we talked about, you don't need to go through the whole meet cute necessarily. Yeah. We assume that you guys have, this is, in the months that you've been up here, Sindaith, you've realized that he's up here, you guys have made your acquaintance. This is just the first time tonight that you're seeing him. Not the first time since you last saw him.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you got into today?
Well, I don't think I should probably go into too much detail about that. But I am not wanted by the law or by the husbands of any women. And I've managed to keep myself out of trouble for once, as far as I can tell.
As far as you can tell,
and there's a little growl from... Yes. Thankfully, I've got my good friend here helps me in those endeavors to avoid trouble. So the weird thing is he sounds like he's a lowborn, but you could hear in his vocabulary that he slips in these words that you would have to, have grown up around aristocracy.
Yeah.
So, and he has told you what's going on, and since you've known him for a long time, that he's sort of semi on the run, or he's not being pursued per se, but he's trying to keep a low profile.
It's the Witcher equivalent of like the child of an engineer and a physician who becomes a rapper.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm pretty good at it, so
Yeah.
There's that. You seem pensive, my friend. Something wrong?
Just a lot of dead ends, no leads.
Caravis, you can assume that you know what he's looking into. You may not know the particulars of this person he knew. I'll leave it, Will and George, you guys can decide whether Caravis knew this person who has gone missing or not. It may have been, you guys may have known each other previously in the more wilder and freewheeling days of Sindaith's youth. Or you may have, known him only with this person, and maybe she disappeared before you left, after you left, or this may have happened afterwards.
Caravis?
What was that, Will?
23.
20 what?
23.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't have known her.
Okay. So I'm assuming you
that was
probably
in my
told.
youth.
Okay, so you probably have, I'm going to assume that you've told me about her, and I know that you're looking for leads. Struck out once again, and I see you with trying to find her.
Yes, I think I'm going to have to go and do more research somewhere.
A journey
There
then.
are indications that maybe ancient powers might be involved.
Sounds dangerous to me. I'm in.
Let's see. Now wait a minute. Isn't Selena in here now as well?
So you can see Selena is with Werzium and seems to be amusing this other. Why don't you each, Sindaith and Caravis, give us a D10 roll. So let's roll for reputation. See if you know the reputation of Bogomil the Butcher as well. George just threw a dice at my head.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah,
I rolled a 1 though.
Caravis, so you actually you know the same reputation of Bogomil the Butcher. He is a witcher of the Griffin School from up here, and he has been he has been successful here. There has been there was a pack of dire wolves that led by a warg that he seemed to have taken down. And didn't you hear recently that there was some knockers that he dealt with as well? Creatures, awful spirits that like collapsing mines on the hapless miners who go beneath. It's the absolute bane of anyone involving in mining activities.
So I think I followed Sindaith's gaze as he looked over, and then I've spotted Bogomil. I'm like, you know who that is, don't you?
Of course.
Bogomil the Pitcher. Yeah.
Ah. I thought you were referring to my companions. Come, let me introduce you.
Again, you guys can assume that you have done introductions before. We don't need to go through the,
Just to sit down appropriately.
Yeah. The table that Werzium picked, probably it would be a squeeze to get you guys in there, but if you want to make yourself in, get yourself sitting with Bogomil and the others, he certainly seems to be in high spirits, and Werzium seems to be in better spirits than he normally is.
You can always use more friends in these parks. I say we go make his acquaintance.
Yeah. So we will sit down and see what they have to regale us with, what they've learned, what they know.
So yeah, the rest of the evening will pass in a pretty relaxed and friendly manner. Like you hear. Turns out that, and tell me if I got this right, Sean. Would he be sharing his Witcher war stories only around other Witchers?
I think that he'd be. I think he shares them when it's either it's purposeful.
Yeah.
There's a reason to.
So it could be an instructive.
Right. Or like if I'm trying to get a job, or something. There's some very particular reason. Or that'd be more typical. This is a more unusual situation because he doesn't really look forward to seeing anyone. I mean, maybe the party, perhaps if someone's in trouble or hadn't seen in a while. But this is unusual. So he's run into a Witcher. So he's in surprisingly good spirits. I will say that if he ends up trusting a little bit Bogomil over the course of the evening, he will ask him for his advice on his two tasks that he seems poor at. Well, there's more than that, but the sword and the mutagen. which particularly
I thought you were going to say the barmaid.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. There's more than that. There are other tasks that he's poor at, but beyond that, he's that would be a very bad day that he's actually going to ask for help in that area. But because to talk about the mutagen he generally would not bring that up. So only if he thinks, if it would require a roll maybe to see if he thinks Bogomil is on the level. Or if Bogomil's trying to, work him for some reason, because he's still a little bit suspicious at this free ale all night. Like, no one does that. That's nonsense.
I think it's not unusual for, like, you guys have especially amongst the Witchers, it is such a unique and dangerous profession. No one understands what that's like other than fellow Witchers, and you all know the harsh, not only like the dangers of your job. No one likes you. No one wants you around. And so if you do find yourself where you've lucked out and you've not only got a good paying job and you survived it, if you can help someone else who is on harder times, that's just sort of, it's helping a brother out, right? It's the same sort of like the same community you would find at like a Legion Hall maybe, where just like that's you have a shared experience that others just will not understand. And the reason I asked about the war stories is because there may be stories that you're sharing, with Bogomil, and as you're sort of exchanging things back and forth. Well, there's this time down in, whatever, where there was a blah, blah, blah. And some of, like, Selena, having been around you that long, may hear one or two stories that she's never heard before from you. Like, you were
I think he would. Yeah, I think his guard's down. I think he would share those stories, and eventually, if it comes up, he will ask his advice on, like getting your sword repaired in the area, and even the mutagen thing, which would be really unusual. That really shows that Werzium's guard's down, because he would never bring up something like that, because it's pretty valuable, and so he doesn't want anyone to know he has it. But his guard's down, so he would ask him.
So he. I think what any good tales of murdering parents. I think what he gives you a little bit of insight into it, but unfortunately, the people you found in town thus far are not skilled enough with it. He agrees, like, this is a very complex undertaking. He doesn't feel equal to it himself. He's a bit in the same boat as you, which is unusual. Like it's not unexpected. The Griffin School is known more for their proficiency with signs and with like the limited magics that the Witchers have been taught. In fact, they actually start with a bonus to their vigor threshold. So he has, if I know you've been pursuing that a little bit, he may actually, maybe that's part of the shop talk that you guys get to exchange is, some insight, because the Griffin School most definitely has, has more extensive studies on that.
The magical source, professional talent, mechanically, whatever that is narratively, that would be the
it's the knowledge of the anything to do with like the whole spell sword path down there. That's more what the Griffin School would be focused on than, say, like the two sword fighting that you guys do, or I can't remember what the Wolf School specializes in, but dominating trilogies or quintets, I guess. The evening otherwise is, it is it's a relaxing distraction for you, Sindaith. Caravis, sounds like you're right at home in this, and Selena, you're able to sort of put your thoughts away from what happened earlier tonight. That's unprecedented for you in town too. There's often, like local gangs or whatever that try and lay claim to certain areas. You normally, or I'm not sure you necessarily have direct experience with it in some of the smaller towns, but you're aware that there are said to be like thieves guilds and whatnot that operate in areas. To call them guilds is really like gives them more credit than what they actually are, which is just a bunch of it's a bunch of street gangs. Sometimes that have arrangements together, but like it's not surprising to you that there are people who are demanding like a cut of any kind of activity. Maybe you're surprised that you were caught. What do you think, Selena?
Yeah,
How's she
'cause
processing
normally,
that?
I know, because she'd be thinking she'd done scouted out the area, checked no one was looking. So it was kind of odd, and the fact that he snuck up on her was pretty rare.
Yeah.
Normally she can sniff trouble a mile off.
Okay.
So she'll be on her guard going forward.
Okay. So then, with that, I mean, unless there's anything else you guys specifically want to discuss with Bogomil or otherwise, it's just a very, it's a very relaxing evening, and it's on someone else's dime, which is probably even better.
Selena, did you pitch in with your story of that evening? With since we're sharing Witcher stories, do you pitch in with a thieving story?
Oh no, I'll just keep that to myself.
All right.
Okay. So for the next day, we'll take our mid-session break a little bit late just because I want to get a little further into the session. I'm mindful that we're past the midway point, but the next day, Sindaith, where do you think you plan on going today to do research? Like, do you think you go to the university? Do you, ask around to see who's in town?
I think the university would be a starting point.
Okay. So maybe there is given your charming nature, maybe there's a librarian or something similar that has taken a liking who can tell you who's sort of in and researching more unusual things. And as you come in, you can see this librarian. They're maybe busy dealing with an apprentice of some kind, and they look over and see you coming in. This is a man named Vieslaw. He's dressed in not like, it's sort of like a academic's equivalent of the nicer robes and nicer clothes that a noble might wear. Clearly, he has his station due to skill and training more so than money, or at least not the position of a noble. He looks over. He's probably about maybe about 55-ish, so definitely older, clean-shaven, short-cropped hair, Caucasian, and kind of leaner. He has that. For someone who has a relatively sedentary profession, he does seem to be still quite lean. He sees you come in, and he looks pleased to see you. And this is, he's not unfriendly with this fellow, but the seems that he wants something or has something. And he says, Sindaith, I'm glad I was hoping to run into you today. Was there something that you needed immediately, or do you have time for a meeting with someone else?
Well, I suppose I could make time.
Good. There is a nobleman a duke from further to the east, from in the Hangford League. And you know that to the east, there is a relatively recent political creation called I think it's the Hangford League. Yes, Hangford's League, which is a collection of duchies and whatnot, and some parts that used to be part of the eastern march of Kovir and Povis that have sort of banded together as a loose confederation. You can think of like the sort of like very, very loose connection of the early Holy Roman Empire, where there is a king in place who is fairly strong, but they're still new enough that they don't have strong. It means they're culturally probably quite similar to here, but they are much less unified than what Kovir and Povis are. And he says it's someone from there, and the expectation of what this person could be like is all over the place. You know that there are some religious fanatics from over there. There are backwoods lords, who are just have kept their land for generations and generations, and perhaps with a little bit of a very like shallow gene pool, as it were. But there are also some other like more dynamic lords who are new and newly positioned by the new king, who is King Niedamar. King Niedamir, the king of the Hangfors League. And what he says is that he had been asking of you and of your friend. You travel with a witcher, right?
Yes.
I think he may wish for an introduction, but he did ask to speak to you. Shall I say that you are interested?
Yes, I'll speak to him.
Good. He heads over to his desk and does a little bit of rooting around, and then brings back a fairly well written, at least for like correct, or careful penmanship, an address. He says, "This is where," and you can see this is in. It is. It's sort of like a guest quarters. That like one of the ways that those well off do when they're traveling is, rather than like staying in an inn or whatnot, if you're of a certain station, you just pay a nominal amount to a local noble and make use of one of their homes, or one of their like one of the properties, I guess, that they own. So basically, this guy is like staying at or renting out one of the lesser nobles' estates. He says his name was Duke Victor Ziba.
Oh, there it is.
And you can give us an education roll if you'd like.
All right.
This will be a 20, so it's going to be a little difficult to see if you can place where the Zebas are from.
Let's see. Intelligence. It's going to be a tough roll. Was I spend luck to just increase the
base
base
it's a flat
number?
bonus to your roll.
Let's go ahead and spend. I'm going to spend 3 luck on this roll.
Okay.
So.
Go.
And then I'll put a 3 on there and click submit.
Nice.
All right.
So yeah, you're aware of this. I don't know why you would have come across this. Maybe it's just you heard a story about, or a song about this. So the Zebas are from a duchy called Rava, and Rava is to the. It's not far over the border. Let me bring you over to the map, and I'll see if I can point out for you. So, let me zoom in a scooch here. They are in MacLeod. MacLeod is it's nothing but like a bunch of like nesting dolls of different duchies within kingdoms, or duchies within princeships within, or principalities within kingdoms. The Duchy of Rava is around here. And that's where the Zebas are traditionally from. They border on another duchy called the Duchy of Siedna. And here's your Duchy of Rava is where the Zebas are from. And the Duchy of Siedza is where a family called the Sadowskis are from. They border on one another, and you know of them because there is a series of songs you've heard about the legendary rivalry between those families. This is a Hatfields and McCoys, or the Capulets and Montague type rivalry between these families. Hundreds of years they have been at war with one another in the way that only like small noble families can. So if this Zeba wants to see you, you also, I think with a roll that good enough, you know that they are, they're also fairly close to one of the few passes to the Dragon Mountains, which means that you don't know of it necessarily, but if you can gain access to the Dragon Mountains in an easy way, two things. One, it means that the people from the north may be able to make their way down, as well as the beasties that live up there. In addition, it means you may get access to the mountains themselves, which may mean mining, because that is how the different kingdoms and whatnot that make up the Hangford's League. They don't have the amount of riches that Kovir and Povis has yet, but they can always dream, and that seems to be what, having seen the beautiful new capital and amazing new university that was built in Kovir and Povis, every one of these podunk duchies or earldoms or whatever, they may want to try and build themselves up as the same thing. And you thought you heard something about mining with them too. You don't remember the particulars of it, but maybe there's something to do with that might have been something that led to the rivalry between the two. Mm-hmm. But do you give away any of that? Like you know all of that stuff. You would have heard of, like, oh shit, like I've heard those. There's songs sung about the rivalry between these two families.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna let on that I know what all specifically.
Okay. I know the Duke was interested in meeting your Witcher friend as well. I don't know how that works with them, but he did seem to be quite interested in it.
I will finish my task here, and then I will return to my companions, and we will contact the Duke.
So maybe there are some additional books that you had been waiting for that Vslaw has set aside, and that hello, Anna says hi to everyone. Somebody's up. Hi, Goober. So he collects those. It gives you the books that you had requested. You get him some other things to look into that they'll pull from archives. And what do you wish to do then?
I guess since I've got that stuff, I guess I can go ahead and I reckon head back and try and round up everybody.
Okay. So finding Werzium would likely be actually, I think you probably are more of an early riser than it sounds like any of the others are. You guys can correct me if I've got that wrong. But it's probably easy. Are you collecting everybody and going to see this Duke, or?
I think I'm going to specifically speak to Werzium since he was mentioned by name.
Okay. So if you probably find Werzium back at the tavern in one of the the rooms. So Werzium, you hear a knock at the door and kind of the weight of the previous night, it likely weighs heavily on your head. Mm-hmm. You've got a remarkable tolerance to toxins and whatnot because of your mutated physiology, but even then, you guys, you really gave it a go last night.
I don't have any time. I don't have any idea what time it is, and I cock an eye and I see if it'll just go away. Whatever's annoying me.
I think this may not have been the first time you've gone through this, Sindaith.
Yeah.
So there's a rap again, and you may even recognize the sound of Sindaith. He knocks first with his hand and then with his staff.
Yeah, I was going to say the staff is coming.
Yeah, dunk, 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 dunk.
I'll. Do I know you?
Yes. Get up, you drunken sod.
It's not locked. And I roll over.
Okay. Selena, you may actually share this room with Werzium. So you may be asleep in here as well. Am I correct in thinking she's a bit of a creature of the night as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's...
Best time in the dark to
you hear the moan. Yeah, this disapproving moan that only teenagers can really master. As she rolls over and you walk in, Sindaith. What do you say?
It seems our reputations precede us. While I was at the university, the librarian approached me and mentioned that there was a duke who wished to speak to not only me, but you also.
Did you tell him I charge a fee for introductions? And I harumph and pull the cover over my head.
I told them after speaking with you, we would make an appearance.
They rich.
Well, of course, he's a duke.
And I swing my legs over the bed and put my hands through my hair and, kind of shake it around a little bit so I don't have to comb it. And, all right. And I don't know if I'm lucky, if I'm, there's probably not, but if I'm lucky enough that there's any, like, water in the place, like a pitcher, or something.
There's definitely probably like a little bit left over of last night. So there's some tepid wine.
I don't think I care. I dip some fingers into it and rub it on my palms and rub it on my face.
Okay.
Yep. Wine will do.
Okay. You're looking, and this is about as good of a presentation that Worzium offers. So.
Yep.
Selena, how are you reacting? Are you just curling further up here, or?
I will. Yeah, I'll just keep silent and keep watching. I always like to watch. Never know what you'll find out.
Okay. Hey, sorry. Just being a monkey right now. All right. So maybe this is a good. Anna's providing a good prompting. For us to take our mid-session break right now.
Like, come on.
Well, she's wedged herself. She's on an ottoman next to me, and she's spread her legs out and then put her front legs down, so there's no way for her to move. You goober. I don't know what she's doing. All right, so why don't we take our mid-session break right now? We'll refresh beverages, take a break. I'll let my hound outside. Yeah. Oh yeah, big snort. Approving. And then we'll come back and we'll see. Do you wish to try and collect? I'm not sure if you feel like the relationship you have with Caravis is such that you are dragging him along with this as well yet, or whether you feel that
Yeah, I think I would find him and mention what was going on.
Okay.
And I think I would just say that that would make sense because I think you found me to be reliable. Even though I seem like I'm kind of all over the place, actually it comes down to it, I have all my friends' backs.
Yep. Okay. So then we will take our break, and then we'll come back and we'll sort of pick up with you guys arriving at the Duke's, where he is staying, and then we'll see what the Duke has to say to you. So for those listening at home, we'll be back momentarily. Okay. So Anna was making some noise earlier. It turns out with good cause. FedEx apparently delivers on Saturdays. Because I just had my copy of Third Imperium arrive. Okay. I know. Okay. So we can move maybe back over to here. Go. All right. Hey, Mithril. Good afternoon, good morning from Canada. Hope that the weekend is treating you well. And, okay. Sean, I was saying Anna was making noise earlier with good cause because it seems that FedEx delivers on a Saturday morning. I just had my copy of Third Imperium show up.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I knew that something was coming from Mongoose, but I thought that it was the new Robots book. They got a Robots handbook that was just released. That actually was pretty interesting. But, yeah.
Sweet.
Mongoose it almost rivals like Fantasy Flight in terms of like you can predict when the PDFs are coming out, but like it's a complete crapshoot when the print versions are coming out. It's like, all right, I just showed up at my house.
Yeah.
Cubicle 7 is a lot like that as well, where just like I'm waiting on right now Imperial Zoo, Winds of Magic, that Armed, whatever it is, so Up in Arms.
Up in Arms,
that was called, yeah. And the final chapter for the, whatever it is, what's the called Hidden Enemy or something like that? Enemy Within? The mega campaign for Warhammer 4?
Yeah, the last one, right? The last one?
Yeah, the last one for that Empire in Flames, I think. That and the Companion I'm waiting for those to show up in print as well. But
cool.
Yeah, just it's a bit of those ones. It's shows up without prompting,
right?
And usually without notification. But it's the first time I've had something like this show up on a weekend. And early, I wonder if because it was Canada Day yesterday, if they pushed through for Saturday deliveries, because Friday they weren't delivering anything.
Oh, right. Okay.
No rest for the weary.
Right.
Okay. So just waiting for Will to get back, and then we'll see what happens.
I'm here. Just let me turn my camera
on.
on.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, you got it.
I just got back.
Okay.
It looks like it's actually fixing to rain for the first time in like 2 or 3 weeks, so I'm just praying.
Oh man, that's nice. We've been having nothing. You're welcome to some of ours. I've had more thunderstorms in the last like month than I remember having. We're in the prairies, so like we get thunderstorms fairly often.
Yeah.
But man, oh man, the amount of fucking rain. I got a like a basin, like a bird basin kind of thing in the backyard, and I don't think it's managed to dry out in a month and a bit now. We don't put any extra water in it because like I don't want to. Frankly, I don't really care. I don't want to pay for water going in for no fucking reason. But it's been filled for the last like month and a half.
Wow.
Here comes the wind and the thunder. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Nice. That's awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
You have any pets?
Wait, don't give Kevin any ideas.
Yeah.
Right. Although Sindaith has some weather spells or like spells that affect weather. So
nice.
Yeah.
We always go the extra mile for the in-game, visual and auditory effects.
No expense spared.
Yeah. So then, guys, where we left was with you guys collecting each other. Who all is accompanying Sindaith to this meeting then?
think we've determined it's pretty much everybody as far as who all I've told.
Okay.
Well, I think I want to hang back just because he's a duke and there's aristocratic connections potentially. And I don't want that to come up if it doesn't have to and explain things.
Okay.
So I think I'd be I'm not going to not be present, but I think I would hang back, and especially because I've got Meredvix with me, and I don't know how much, where they're going to allow her to be. I never want to be too far from her, so I'll be at the back of the audience space, or I don't know how it's going to go down, but my intention is to be kind of in the background for the moment.
Okay. We don't know you're a mage, is that right?
Yeah, no, you definitely know. You basically know most everything. I haven't told you this specific detail. My parents were murdered for a crime they didn't, or executed for a crime they didn't commit, and I blame myself, but I haven't gone to more of the details. And I have some nemesis out there who is involved in that as well, and I'm not looking forward to seeing her. So I've come up here to, kind of get away from all of that and leave that life behind and forge a new one for myself. But I don't really know what that should be. So I'm kind of, trying to figure things out and use the skills I've discovered that I have in terms of magic and getting help from Sindife in that.
Okay.
Cam? What about Selena? Is she intending on tagging along?
She'll tag along, but as usual, we'll try and be as inconspicuous and at the back, or
okay. So it is. It takes some. If you go on foot, it'll take you a little longer than if you take a canal boat, because the boats are just the fastest way to sort of navigate around on these streets, and they are ubiquitous. So it's not like you need to hire a very fancy gondola or something like that. Like there are skiffs that will take you around. Not skiffs. My ignorance of like the types of boats and whatnot is amongst our players pretty legendary at this point. Having grown up in a landlocked province, I know very little about them, so forgive me if I get my nomenclature wrong about the boats, but a boat will take you around on here. But there's, cheap taxis that right next to, like, elaborate, effectively like mini yachts that are used by the aristocracy in the Grand Canal. Particularly in the winter, the summertime, you're getting close to the season where you hear the Grand Canal will be just full of effectively like floating summer homes for many of the nobles. That is not where you're going, though. So do you think, would you spare the money to try and hike there, or would you just spend the money and take a boat together?
I have some money, left over from my starting amount, because I didn't have a lot of things I needed to purchase. So I would be happy to, and this is a way that I kind of feel like I contribute to the group, is when it's necessary, it's important that I cough up some coins, seemingly out of nowhere, because they're hidden all over my body, to pay for such things.
Werzium will take note of, certainly accept the boat ride. We'll just get on. He won't offer anything, and we'll keep an eye open for that, for coins appearing for the purposes of repairing and things like that. But anyway, that's for another time. But
okay.
He definitely takes note of this.
So what, I'm picturing Meredvix at the front of the boat. You guys, traffic is busy here, and you find that the amount of detail in the boats and the clothing of the passengers gets better the closer you get to your destination. When you arrive at your destination, you all step off the wharf, and this is it's typical of Pont Varus, forgive me, that it's a little like walled in, private sanctuary that's been built up with guards standing out front with a coat of arms that Sindife, you would recognize as that of the Duchy of Rava. And actually, I should say it's actually an interesting. There is the Duchy of Rava, but you rolled well enough to recognize there's something else inset in them, and there is something from the coat of arms of Ciedza that has been incorporated into here. And that's interesting. Like, if you heard that those two duchies were, at least those families, were at war with one another. As you get off, the guards, you have their attention, and one of them kind of walks over. Do you have business here?
Yes, we're here to see the Duke.
They look at one another, and they see the Witcher. And the one who's speaking to you says, just a moment. They head back in. There's a bit of talk back and forth or between them while they're waiting for people to arrive. They're sort of, Selena, you have seen the disapproving look of guards before, and this is no different. They seem to know your game, as it were, without having seen anything, or at the very least, they're making assumptions about you. But then the guard who you first spoke to returns and says, please come in. If the beast could wait outside.
You speaking of me? I'm no beast. I may need a bath, but I wouldn't. Oh, I see. Yes, very well. And this is sort of his MO that you could have seen.
Why don't you give us
to make fun of himself, etc.
Give us a charisma check, will you?
Okay.
Let's see
Especially because I know these types of guards, having grown up with them.
Yeah.
Okay, here it comes. Hopefully, I have input everything right.
So they seem to take it well. They are like the animal. Does it respond to your directions?
Exactly, like perfectly. And
Okay.
it goes and like just curls up and lays down.
They seem impressed by this.
But I say keep an eye on them. They need some help, my dear. Okay, and then I'll proceed in.
So they escort you through. It's not a very big place, but they bring you from like one, basically what looks like a slightly well decorated, like defensible first line. Those of you who have spent time in the cities would know, like, war amongst the nobles or, civil insurrection is not an unknown thing. So nobles need to take steps to ensure that they've got some kind of protection in these places. But you're led through to this small, fairly ornate garden where there is it is someone who's dressed kind of like you would expect for if they are going hunting or falconing. They have sort of like the outdoorsy gear that a nobleman would wear. This man is probably about maybe 30, if that. He looks like the way that the lines in his face sort of are pronounced makes you think late 20s, but certainly not older than 30. He has his hair cropped short in kind of a respectable, I guess like more like backwoods kind of. It's the type that probably would have gone out of fashion about maybe 5 years ago, but it was fashionable at one point. And he has the ruddiness of someone who has been outside, like the ruddy complexion of someone. He definitely doesn't give you the look of like a woodsman or something like that, but it's someone who definitely is active, And he stands about maybe 5'9", so not a particularly tall individual, but not like, tiny. And he turns, and when he sees Wurzium, his eyes sort of, get big, and he sees you, Sindaith, and his smile gets big, and he says, Sindaith Ape Gundam, yes?
Yes.
And the guard sort of gestures to him, he says, and I present, and the Duke sort of gestures, and says, no need for that, no need. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. I am Duke Victor Ziba. Duke of Rava, and he seems young for someone who's going to be a duke. Like, there's got to be a reason or some reason for that. Normally these people, their fathers and whatnot, the nobility, absent some kind of mishap, they tend to live into fairly long old age and then pass it over to their fairly aged children. He shakes your hand and he looks over and says, and you must be the Witcher I have heard so much about. You must be Bogomil.
I am. Where's he? Is Caravis laughing?
Yes, but not at you. When I see your look at me, I'm like, not at you.
So he laughs and he looks at you and he looks back at Worsium and he says, there is a joke I have missed.
I am Worsium. Actually, I was drinking with Bogomil last night, as a matter of fact.
Oh. And he looks at you, Sindaith, and he says, forgive me, sir. This is the Witcher you travel with.
Yes.
Yes, we tend to travel with them. I kind of step in front of Sindaith and like, yes, we travel with only the best Witchers, which is why we travel with Worsium.
He says, forgive me, sir. Your name I do not have.
I am Caravis, and I do a formal bow, and then I realize I'm doing it, and I kind of like try to mess it up a little, as if I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay.
I'm honored to be in your presence. I'm sorry to speak out of turn. I will step away.
It is. Please make yourself at home and make yourself as comfortable as you can. And he walks over and young lady, forgive me. My manners forget me. So thrilled I am to finally make the acquaintance of a Witcher. What is your name, young lady?
Well, my name's Selena. I'm Cindy's niece. I've got the big blue eyes.
Okay.
Very innocent I am.
And he looks at you and looks at Sindice and his pointed ears and looks back. Indeed. It seems there's many stories to be, many interesting mysteries to be plumbed here. Please join me for lunch. We are early for this. I hope that you have brought appetite. We have, I hope, much to discuss. And he gestures over.
Worsium finds a seat. He's into free food.
One of the things that Selena and Caravis, having grown up around nobility, one of the things that strikes you with this dude is that this is someone who's not relying on servants as much as what you would have expected. That usually either speaks to someone who is a bit of an out, like a black sheep, or someone who cannot afford them. The more modest noble houses, they have to maintain the standards or whatnot, but not all can afford to have them around. So that might explain this, but it's unusual. So he has you sit down and says, I appreciate you joining. I'm not sure how these things are done. I'm new to town. My first time, in fact, in Pont Varus. I understand none of you originate from here either.
No.
Is there? I don't know how one approaches this, but we have a difficulty that I feel that only a Witcher could deal with. And forgive me, I have heard your name spoken well of in... I made the acquaintance of a colleague of yours, a Ms. Louisa, with a wizard or a sorceress. She had mentioned in passing, I was inquiring of them any expertise they may offer. They suggested not only availing myself of the services of a Witcher to address this, but she had mentioned your name, Sindaith, as being someone who traveled with one. I had only heard rumor of one Witcher's name who had been heard here, so I naturally assumed that this Bogomil was the one that you had met with and traveled with. Worsium, I intend no offense by having your name not as pronounced on the tip of my tongue, as it were, as Bogomil's.
No offense taken, my lord.
So, how does one go about this type of business then? I could tell you my lands are far away, but not so far away. Several days' travel to the east is where the Duchy of Rava is located. Myself and my wife, these are our lands, and we have plans for our lands, but we find ourselves in a bit of a... There's a village that is haunted, and we cannot proceed with these plans unless this haunting is addressed. Now, what more can I tell you? And he kind of, starts digging into his meal.
I just want to say that you are doing an excellent job at this. You seem like a natural, and I'm going to stay out of it from now, but you are doing such a fabulous job. This is exactly how you're supposed to do it.
That is, I appreciate your encouraging words, Caravis.
Caravis, Werzium was, I think, enjoying at this point Caravis's distraction, so Werzium didn't have to say much to his Duke. But now he's looking at Caravis like, "Are you finished?" And
I see the look. I'm like, sorry.
You tell us what you suspect is the problem, and then we negotiate a fee, including things we might need, and then looks at Sindith in case more words are needed than that.
The biggest question I have is, how did you hear of me?
Again, it was Louisa who gave me your name. Okay. I was discussing this difficulty I have with her and her sorceresses. She had mentioned that you had been traveling of late with a witcher and suggested that that might be ideally suited to dealing with this. I understand that there is a contractual obligation with or arrangement that is entered into with the Witcher. If your colleagues are part of that as well, we certainly and they can bring a resolution to our problems, I am certainly happy to support them as well. Again, Louisa has described your skills, Master Sindith, as exemplary. She did not go into the details, but suggested that you were of great assistance to them as of late.
Yes. So tell me specifically, what troubles are you experiencing?
To give proper context to this, it perhaps might be best to share some of my family history. I'm not certain if you're familiar with the Zebas of Rava or the Sadowskis of Siedza. I know you're not from here, but have you... There are songs I've heard.
I am familiar, however my companions may not be. So feel free to give us your
certainly
perspective.
So, my family, the Zebas and the Sadowskis, have had, to call it strife, would be, there has been a legendary animosity between our peoples and our neighboring duchies for nigh on 8 generations now, all stemming back to a disagreement relating to a mine. To simplify it that way would be dramatically undercutting the years of built-up animosity. But what I can say is that my father, Mikislaw, and the Duke Xenon of the current Duke of Siedza, they saw the legacy of bloodshed. They saw the opportunities that were coming to Povis and Kovir, and put aside their differences and did what Generations of my kin thought impossible and arranged a marriage. My elder brother, Marek, was married to Xenon's eldest daughter, Anita. Anita and Marek were married, which brought a measure of peace between the Sadowskis and the Zieds and the Zebas. My brother answered a higher calling, though. He was a devotee of Kriv, and I believe, let me make sure I got that name right. Anyone with education, you can feel free to make a quick education check for us. Where's him? You don't know shit. You can give a roll anyway. I'm not fussed.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Nice. So Sindaith, once again, maybe it's because you've read a fair amount. Kriv is also known as the Forefather. He is often considered by Nordlings to be the Sky Father to Melitele's Earth Mother. In a way, the two sides of the same coin. While Melitele preaches the benefits of compassion and cooperation, Kriv inspires his worshippers to action in defense of their people. He's a deity who opposes the forces of quote-unquote evil and extols the virtue of family and community. The Forefather expects his worshippers to act decisively and never surrender to forces which might harm their community. The reason that is of interest is because, for one, it's one of the more popular and prevalent faiths in the north, particularly to the east and in Cadwin. But there's a splinter faith that came from it called the Church of Eternal Fire, which has been very, very popular. I mentioned to George, we talked about this, and at the outset of the session, I think we talked a little bit about the pogroms that, and I can't remember if that was during the character creation last night or today's session.
It was last night. Well,
it was last night, okay.
Blended, but it was last night.
So
yeah.
the big nation to the south, Redania, is in the midst of a bit of a religious fervor, which includes an inquisition that's been basically held and a pogrom that's been held against or conducted against the elves and other non-humans that are in there. It's partly caused because an elven assassin killed the last Redanian king, but it's led to some very, very bad things down there. The church behind that is this Church of Eternal Fire, which is a splinter faith of the belief of Kriv. What you know, Sindaith, with that good of a role, and Carvis, you would be aware of this as well with that role. The Church of Eternal Fire is not really welcome. Those kind of fanatics aren't really welcome in the Northern, not only because they're just troublemakers, but also because there are a lot of non-humans, including werebubs and the more obviously non-human communities that are out there. The Church of Eternal Fire, so what he tells you is that Marek heard the Crusaders' call of the Eternal Fire, and he rode off to join the crusade in Redania. We then, several years later, while he did leave he left Anita, and he's very careful in the way he phrases that, with child, he was gone, and we got word that he had died. Not to see the work that my father put to the work that my father and Duke Xenon had put into the peace between our families, I stepped in and I married Anita. And I took my nephew, as my own son. My father has since passed, but with him passed and a peace between the Sadowskis and the Zebas, we now intend on developing what we think will be, or at least legends say, is a very rich vein, said to be of both gold and dimetrium. The only reason we have not pursued it thus far has been the strife between our families, and an arrangement has been reached with the Zebas and with the Sadowskis. This then still leaves us with the difficulty. When things went poorly among us, it's said that the town around the mine is rife with some kind of unquiet spirits. None travel there, and those that do, or at least none with sense travel there, and those that do, their grisly remains have been found afterwards, what little remains of them. We don't know what is up there. Something that hunts in the region. But we need it addressed. Whatever curse has afflicted that town, we need lifted so that we may finally pursue the destiny of our people, which is to mine those and see our lands prosper as they could have.
Warzium says this seems something we could help you with, I think, my lord.
Good. He seems very energetic.
Warzium's a little exhausted at all his energeticness, but he needs the money. So we would require payment as well as typically access to a smithy and an alchemist, he says without irony, just daring anyone in his party to disagree with him about
smithy.
These,
we have the Duchy of Reva is, and he gestures around. We are a remote, and we are not as rich as what you see in Kovir and Povis. Our lands are much more modest, but we have a smithy in the keep who certainly could see to any of your needs. A very capable person. An alchemist we do not have, though.
Very well.
Is that? Forgive me, but is that? We will house you, certainly, for the duration. We will offer what assistance we can with what you recommend. And we would pay to see through to this land cleared, to see that that community cleared of this curse, so that we might bring our people up and bring those mines back to prosperity.
He looks at his comrades and says, I think this fits well with our abilities. Perhaps you would, if sometimes alchemical substances can help in these tasks, and perhaps you could even make a reference to a nearby resource of such a thing if the need arises. The neighboring settlement or something.
So he kind of leans in and he says, well, this, forgive me, but this would be what we would be paying your expertise for, no? I have discussed this with Louisa, and I wish not to offend, but you are to provide your own materials, are you not? This is a profession, and you are to have the professional tools necessary, right?
Certainly, but I don't have my own smithy, for example.
No, and we can, if what need be, we can provide those services from the castle or the keep.
And Warzium realizes he's unhappy with how many words he's already spoken, and so he quiets down. And,
it also seems that he is enthusiastic and whatnot too, but you're realizing that there is more of a business mind behind this. There is something to be said for allowing other people to show themselves before you show yourself, and it seems that he may have done so with you.
Yeah, Worzium realizes why he doesn't normally do this. And he looks at Sindaith like, why weren't you talking? Like he gets it,
So he sees the look over at Sindaith and he says, and for yourself, is there more information you require? Do you have any thoughts? The legends say that, or at least the tales we were told as kids of the town, that they strip the flesh of those and consume it, leaving scraps behind like animals. I don't know what thing might do that, but we know that whatever has haunted there has done so for generations now.
I don't think I need necessarily any more information at this point.
I have one question for you, my lord, Duke. I'm not sure of the proper phraseology. Has a Witcher ever been dispatched to address this issue in the past and failed?
Not since the difficulties arose. Our families have my ancestors, or my predecessors at the least, have been singularly focused on the strife with our family and the Sadowskis. The thought had not been to turn the exceptional efforts placed on bedeviling one another. None of the thought has been placed to put those efforts into restoring this town and restoring the mind to productivity. My father, when he was alive, and my father-in-law, this has been their dream, to see the lands collectively prosper by putting this ancient bloodshed to rest. And there are still those who would seek to see us fail. There are still some who harbor resentments for this, but Anita, my wife, the Duchess, and I, it is only by fate that we found ourselves together, but we are both, for ourselves, for our families, and particularly for our children. We intend to see the strife of the past be just that, something of the past, and build a more prosperous future for both of our families.
I see. And the mine is not currently in operation, is that correct?
Nor has it been for more than 2 centuries.
And was it always known that these veins, very valuable veins, were there and just hadn't been mined? Okay.
We have known, we at the time, there was not the means and there was not the interest. The willingness of those with money to lend to those in our reaches 2 centuries ago, and she gestures around at Kovir and Povus, none of this would be even dreamed of. You will see. Reva is what these lands once were.
And you had mentioned a town that was cursed. Is that town populated at this point?
Nor has it been for 200 years, long more.
Okay.
It is nearby.
And no one knows the source of this. Sorry, excuse me, Your Majesty. No, Your Highness. I'm not sure what the right word is, but
my lord is sufficient.
My lord, yes, my lord. That's what I was going to say.
Give us a deception roll too.
And I
want to see how well you're hiding it. Like this guy may pick up that you're.
Yes.
Your deception is pretty good, from what I remember.
Yes, I definitely put points into it.
Yeah.
Don't forget about luck too, if you want.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what? I'll put in 3 luck.
Okay.
Here.
There
we go.
Nice.
He's swallowing completely what you're selling.
Excellent. So I kind of then get back to the subject at hand and say, you mentioned a curse. Is this a curse that you are aware of, that someone cursed the town, or this is just a hypothesis of some kind?
It is. So what you would know is that curses can come from like I curse you, but there's also just like it's something that can arise from circumstance. Curses in the world of The Witcher are almost like forces of nature, more so than just you know,
like a spell.
Like a spell is a working of is your ability to work your will upon chaos and make it do something. A ritual is similar to a spell that takes much longer and whatnot. Hexes and curses are something that taps into something even more primordial and unpredictable. So curses, if there is indeed a curse, he may be just using, it doesn't, you've seen no indication this person's a mage of any kind, right. Nor have you heard anything from what Sindaith has heard. There's no, rumors of the family having mages or whatnot come from their line. But he may just be using a layman's explanation of it, but it would not be unthinkable that people can be cursed, places can be cursed, whole families can be cursed. It is much more in the Eastern European Grimm's fairy tale vein of cursing, where there is a poetic quality to it. But it is something that is beyond the scope of simple magics or rituals or spells.
Okay, so I just conclude by saying, well, forewarned is forearmed. I mean, good to know. That is very good to know. And I kind of back up again.
He nods. Good. Then, is there anything else you wish to know? Anything else that I can offer before we enter into an arrangement?
Yeah, I cast a glance at Warzium to see if there's anything we're missing.
And he says, forgive me, perhaps you would enjoy privacy. I will give you time to discuss amongst yourselves. Send for, he gestures over to the gate that you guys came through. Indicate the guards when you wish to discuss again. I will retire within and await your decision. And he gets up, thanks you, and says, please, help yourself to the food and drink. And thanks. He leaves you guys behind. You guys can feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
The lack of a castle.
I take the Duke's drink and mine. And then I just sit back and listen to Warzium.
And Warzium waits for that to settle and then says, well, the lack of a castle alchemist is annoying, but hopefully the smithy can repair my sword.
Well, so again, if you've got 200 crowns, you can pay for that to be done here.
Yeah, that's not a thing.
You spent all your money. Oh.
Well, I never had it. I don't know that I spent it.
I think I can help you out with that before we head out. I was trying to work.
I was trying to work it into the fee. That was Warzium was stepping forward to try to get some things covered of personal need. That was his. Normally he wouldn't have stepped forward necessarily in the first place, but he saw an opportunity, so he couldn't help himself.
That makes perfect sense. I just want to have my ass covered, so I'm happy to give you the 200 crowns.
Mm-hmm. He's suspicious of generosity, but it doesn't mean he won't take it. And he's.
I think you know my game, and this is all a means to an end. So
fair enough.
I think you're way ahead of character.
Then he takes it without thought, and he says, fair enough. We only have to decide how much we're charging, and I guess he looks at. It would seem like in the past, Sindaith had opinions about such things. Warzium wants just as much as possible, but he's not particularly adept at evaluating price, perhaps. Selena, do you need anything? He looks at the quiet, precocious young lass to see if she has any input.
she's figuring out if she can go through the chest afterwards, after you've collected your pay. So, no, this looks like a good payer of a job. Let's make sure we get the most out of this.
Speaking of which, so how much should we ask?
Tell me, you're the Witcher.
Kevin? Do I have a Witcher's sense?
I think what's more likely is he's going to tell you what he's willing to pay.
Okay.
And you guys can decide whether or not that that is an appropriate sum. And let me tell you what it is.
Okay.
I was looking it up beforehand.
And I will say, not to do things for altruism, but it would help settle the dispute between two families that has been going on for hundreds of years. So I feel like it would benefit the entire region if we were to help these people come together.
You are free to donate your part of the price back to whatever charity you like, Caravis.
Let's not go crazy. I'm just making a point.
Where's you just giant eye roll at the charity notions of whatever? That's just not even.
I think for me, it's not about charity; it's about stability, and perhaps we can bring that to the region, and it will benefit ourselves.
That's Worzium's he's passed on. He's
defer.
past that.
I defer. Yes, I as always defer to the great Worzium. And he means that that's not sarcastic. That is totally genuine.
He takes it sarcastically, though. And,
Yeah, you should. You should.
And Sindaith, any thoughts?
No. But I mean, I definitely don't think we should go cheap on it.
Yeah. Agreed, Sindaith. We'll see what he has to say, and I mean, do we have expectations, Kevin, that we can measure in the scene upcoming that we can measure it against?
What you can assume is, and maybe he would have mentioned this, we can retroactively add this in, what he's offering you is 1,000 crowns for the cleansing of the town, like to render the town safe, as well as all expenses that would be covered. So getting yourself out there, food and lodging, all of that will be covered. So it'll be 1,000 crowns upon completion, as well as whatever else that you require just for living out there.
Smithy discount?
You certainly wouldn't have access to it, but I mean, like, you're concerned over breaking. Like, remember, like, broken is only when, like, you've lost all of the points in it. Like, the fact that you've got some dinging on it is not, it's not in fear of breaking right away. You only ever take 1 point of damage when it's hit, right, with a block.
It's just, it's Worzium's focus. So he doesn't really care about stuff. This is what he cares about. So he doesn't want robes. He doesn't want, he doesn't even care about fine food, but his swords are an entirely different matter.
Like,
so that's
you're
why
going to have to pay for your stuff, and it's not unexpected for them to want you to pay. You can try and negotiate something better, maybe, but I mean, like the cost of the repairs, if it's 100 crowns, that's not a small thing. Like, there's a reason, because in order to repair it, they do need to really, like, tear it apart and rebuild it, which is why it's so expensive to do it. Like, they need to, looking at the rules, it's basically to repair it, you need to scrap it and then, like, rebuild it, or salvage it and then rebuild it. So that's why it's such an expensive endeavor for when there's only a couple of nicks and dings on your sword. So you certainly...
I say...
Look, that's a bargain. It cost me 50 crowns every throwing knife.
Wow.
Good point.
Gotcha.
I have a thought. What if we ask for a 1% stake in that mine? We could retire forever. We would be set for life. Nobody's with me. Okay, I withdraw. I withdraw.
No, I mean, Worzi would never even think of such a thing. So he's like, huh. He looks at Caravis with maybe a new eye. At least as a negotiating position, even though the Duke's obviously going to say no. But it's a good...
It can't hurt to ask.
Indeed.
He's young and inexperienced, too. We could take advantage. I mean, we could ask him, and he might be nice about it.
Interesting thought, Caravis. Yeah, we can try if you'd like. I certainly like the sound of it, although it seems unlikely. You never
Agree.
know.
Okay. So if you want the Duke to return, I think so. It would be, I believe it is a merchant roll. I think that's what the skill is called. Mm-hmm. So who would like to... It's not merchant. What is it called? What is it called?
It won't be me. Business. There is a business skill.
That's what it is. I'm thinking of business. Yeah, under intelligence.
Under intelligence.
Who would like to make a business check for us? See how well this pitch goes over.
I'm not skilled in such things. Is anybody?
Sindith, you have this covered? Selena, some unknown skill at this?
I don't think it would look good with the 13-year-old doing your negotiating.
Oh, come on.
You know what? At this point, though, if the rest of us are at 0, you should speak up. So my intelligence is 6. So I'm 6 and 0. That is Werzium's offering here.
I'm 10 and 0.
Oh,
Okay,
I could be a winner.
I'm 10-0 too. Either of us.
Same.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Uncle's more appropriate.
Okay. The older folk can.
And I feel like he reached out to you, Sindai, to begin with. So I think he seems to be looking at you kind of as the sort of not necessarily leader, but
Caravis has been doing more of the talking than what Sindith has in this. So
true.
Why don't you go ahead and give us a roll there?
All right, here we go. Here goes the. Oh, you know what? What's the maximum luck you can spend?
Oh yeah, good call.
Overall.
I think. I'm not sure if there is a maximum. Let's double check here.
I don't remember one.
Yeah, I don't think there is.
I don't remember seeing one from before.
It's a good call. I think you should blow it all on there. It's a good.
Session's almost over.
Yep.
Yep. There's no. I don't see any maximum on here.
All right, putting it all in.
That's a good call.
Never know. Fingers crossed.
It's an important role. Oh, there you go. Look at you.
So he returns to where, once you guys have sent word for the to the guard for them to return, he comes back in and, his he looks around and says, "Then have you reached a decision?"
We are going to accept all of your terms. Oh, but there is one more thing. We were hoping that we could all prosper together. Families, new families being created here, and we're very overjoyed about that. And we think this mine will be the way to make that bond last forever. So, in an effort to be a part of that, we thought we would ask for 1% of whatever the mine produces. So therefore, there's no risk on your part. It's only the mine is successful.
His face kind of screws up, and he looks back and forth amongst you. This is one of your jokes I don't get.
Oh no, it is funny,
because
but it is not
to
a joke.
suggest that those of no station and no family would make demands, even in trade, of the property lawfully owned by those of better station. Your humor, it escapes me.
Then I pull out from hidden in beneath my leather jerkin, my heraldry medallion of my family.
Okay.
And I just put it out and just give him a look.
Okay, so you pull it out and he looks his of you your family. I don't. Is that Jurgen? Forgive me, Jarvis. I thought that Nilfgaard dealt with mages differently.
Well, that is another tale for another time. Right now, we were just in the midst of negotiations, and perhaps if we are in business together, I may tell you everything that has ever gone on in my entire lifetime.
I have no doubt that you would have that. Sadly, there are tasks that do call my attention as Duke. Would that your family still had your lands, I expect that you might understand such things too.
So I immediately am like, I picked up on what's happening here, and I go, "You bought it! Oh, I can't believe it!" And I pick it back up. Like, oh my God, this is hilarious! This guy, you are, yeah, I like you. You're funny. You totally were. I'd like you to play it along. I appreciate that.
What I can say is that if we intend for Rava and Siedza to be and he gestures around, what was before all of this, there was what you will see in Rava, in Siedza, and we intend there to be a grand future there. If you are successful in your tasks, our families neither have had the means to support a court mage, which of course any court would be, any respectable court brings with them. I appreciate your willingness to see yourselves prosper with the lands, and I can say I am new to the role of filling what I saw would be my brother's, and before that my father's role as Duke. But if the future of Rava is as I hope, we will have ways of thanking loyal retainers for what we hope will be a new and bright and prosperous future for all of us in Rava. We are far from the reach of Nilfgaard, and if we have the benefit as well of a very powerful ally between us and Nilfgaard's armies. He's of course referring to Redania, which has beaten, between them and Skellig has beat the bejesus out of the Nilfgaardian navy, which prevents them from getting this far north, and Redania has soundly defeated them on land. So forgive me, Caravis, I know not the particulars of your people. I recognize the crest's origin. I know your lands have fallen. I would welcome. I know what it's like to not have a future, or seeming for your family and your kind. If you deem to remain in Rava, and we see success in bringing prosperity back to it, I most assuredly would find, and this may be of interest to you, Sindite, in the lands of my father-in-law, there are elven ruins there as well, said to date back to ancient times. We know nothing of it, and our attention has been fixed elsewhere, but there is, if that is something of interest, I know that there are only some of your kind that that have an eye to the past, but I understand what it's like to try and to find meaning in what once was. So, but have we a deal then? I will as well assure you the castles, our keeps, blacksmiths will be at your disposal as needed, Worzium.
Well, and looks at Caravis that I guess we got as good as we can, and we are at your disposal, Duke.
Good. I imagine there may be supplies that you have need of. We will have the necessary contracts arranged, and a 10% advance.
That seems worthy.
Good. Then, if there's nothing, I forgive my rudeness, but we have much to prepare if we are to depart soon. Are we able to depart within the next coming days?
Indeed.
Good. Then I will leave you to make your arrangements. I will send word with when our lawyer is prepared to has the necessary documents prepared, and then we will enter into I look forward to learning more, and Caravis, I look forward to learning more of your extensive history on our travels.
And then I do give him an actual formal bow and don't take it back.
Okay. And I think we leave our heroes with you guys departing there. Any last words amongst one another? Any plans that you need to get done, or any things you think you may need to address before you leave town?
I mean, he might check, the sword. He'll do a follow-up if possible with repairs, just to,
won't change the price.
Okay.
I think the difficulty, if you don't have the money, you don't have the money. So that's...
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think how far away is it?
It is quite some distance. Let's see here. Can't remember if there was a legend. I don't think they've ever gave like distances on this, so... which is a problem. Okay, so you're going to be going from here all the way over to around here. So it's only 11 feet. I mean, like that's,
Yeah, that's quick. We could do that at least in less than a day.
I can't remember. Let me take a look see in the rule book if there's a scale. It's been put on the map.
I was just thinking about provisions was my main focus.
Yeah, really good. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Well.
And Selena says, can we not ever find any work in a decent town?
Oh, and this is going to be so much smaller than what you're used to, too. Yeah, I mean, I think the fastest way to travel is likely going to be Hengford's is where the Hengford's League is located. So probably you're going to take a boat to Hengford's and then travel north to Malior.
Okay.
So figure, all things in, maybe like a week and a bit of travel.
I think a week. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
So we got 100 crowns from him, I take it?
Yes, you will have 100 crowns split amongst the 5 of you, so 20 crowns each.
Okay.
That you can make.
I will not take any of it and let the others divide the other. So it's 25 each.
Werzium's confused, but very well.
So then, I think with that, guys, we are rapidly out of time. So I think we wrap our session up there. So for those listening at home, I'd like to love to live in a cliffhanger, but we don't really have time to set anything up. Just know that I'm thinking ill thoughts for all of you. Your characters, at least. For those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for part 1 of the Season of Ravens arc of our campaign. As is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, the campaign, or the game we're playing, and you each get, what is it, 3 IP we've been giving out? Or 4?
Sounds about right.
Let's see. How much experience you're going to get. There we go. Generally, a GM should be even-handed with IP. We suggest not giving out more than 6 to anyone in one session. So I think, let's say 4. Let's live large.
Okay.
Get 4 IPs.
Cool.
For it. As is always the case, again, any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the session, the campaign, or the game, leave a comment down below, or you can find a link in the description of this video to the Dungeon Musings Discord server, where we have channels dedicated to this game, this campaign, and every other campaign we run on the channel, as well as a bunch of other great channels with great people, tons of information on... there's a Find a Group channel that has a bunch of great stuff on it. People are fairly regularly looking for people to join into games, including James's One Ring game that he's looking for players for. There is a second edition AD&D campaign that was kicked off. I don't know what the status of that one is right now. I haven't seen anything about it in a couple of weeks, but There are also channels for, setting up virtual tabletops or selecting between them, convention information that is regularly shared. Sean is one of our best town criers for sharing information about upcoming conventions. So lots of great information, lots of great people. You're more than welcome to join us over there. There's also a link down below to something called Heroes Save Villages, the charity fundraising campaign we're running on the channel that benefits the SOS Children's Villages International Charity, a really terrific organization active in over 130 countries, benefiting over 80,000 orphan and abandoned children, including ongoing relief efforts in Ukraine and the surrounding countries. There are any money that is donated through that link goes directly to SOS Children's Villages International. None of it goes to the channel or any other middleman. It just goes to help the kids who benefit from their services. And as a small way of saying thank you, for every $25 that's donated, you'll have a Canadian. You'll have one chance to win the grand prize or one of the other great prizes in our next charity raffle. The next charity raffle is probably going to be in December of 2022. But if you want to see what prizes were given away in the last charity raffle, you can head over to the Charity Initiatives channel on the Dungeon Musings Discord server, and you can see the 20 prizes we gave away last time, including, I think, a brand new mug that someone won recently. That's great.
Nice.
Below mug. There is also... we have the charity sessions that we run throughout the year as well too, and we often give opportunities for people who have spent money or donated money to then spend an equal kind to affect the game. Sometimes we've had people select characters or make things more difficult for the players, more easy for the players. And the next one is going to be an interesting one that I think some donors hopefully will find of interest. And again, all money that's donated goes directly to SOS Children's Villages International. So anything you donate just goes to help out those kids. And you have some ways to affect the content of the channel, as well as win some pretty cool gaming stuff and some sweet loot as well. The last thing I will say before I thank our stalwart players is we also have a link down below to our friends at Noble Knight Games, the preeminent retailer of out-of-print and hard-to-find RPGs in North America. They also have some, they have new products, and they have board games and card games and whatnot as well, but I particularly like them and make use of them for the out-of-print games that they have collections of. They have a massive selection of out-of-print and hard-to-find RPGs. And if they don't have in stock what you're looking for, you can most often put it on a want list, and they will shoot you an email when that comes in. So really terrific service. Their prices are competitive, and for the things that are, hard to find or that are in high demand, their prices are going to be more reasonable than what you find on like eBay. But if it's stuff that isn't in high demand, I've mentioned that I filled my Champions 4th Edition collection with that stuff, and many of those books I got for like $7. So cheaper than what they were at retail originally. If you are going to purchase anything from there, if you're $10 or more through their website, be sure to enter the code DungeonMuser to save yourself 10% on your purchase. I have been doing that, and I'm looking forward to Monday's arrival. With the arrival of my other package from FedEx, I was hoping that I might get it today, but have to wait till Monday for that. The last thing I will say is a huge thank you to our stalwart players. So James, Sean, Will, and George, welcome to the game. Thank you so much for playing today, guys.
Thanks.
I look forward to seeing the opportunities that will await you in the Duchy of Rava and Siedza. Until next time, we'll be back with this game in 2 weeks' time. Until then, we hope that we've given you a few hours to take your mind off the troubles of our world and see the troubles that may await our heroes in the lands of Rava and Siedza. But until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.